letting go is one of the most misunderstood aspects of personal growth. People often assume that letting go means giving up, losing control, or being passive. But in reality, letting go is a deliberate, courageous, and conscious act. It means you are ready to accept the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It means recognizing that certain things, whether it's a belief, a person, a habit, or a past event, are no longer serving your evolution. Many people go through life carrying burdens they no longer need to hold. These burdens weigh heavily on their minds, limit their potential, and drain their energy. But they hold on tightly because it feels safe, familiar, and predictable, even if it causes pain. What they fail to realize is that holding on too tightly creates suffering. Tighter the grip, the more it hurts when life eventually forces you to release it. There's a natural law in life: anything that is not growing is decaying. This includes relationships, ambitions, and even personal identities. We all evolve. What once made sense may no longer resonate. But when we resist that natural evolution, life intervenes. It may come in the form of discomfort, frustration, repeated failures, or sudden endings. Life's way of forcing us to let go is not to punish us, but to free us. It's trying to unchain us from what we have outgrown. But because we are afraid of change, we often misinterpret these signs. We think life is unfair. We think we are being tested or punished. The truth is much simpler. Life is inviting us to grow by releasing what no longer fits. Letting go also creates space for new ideas, for healing, for deeper relationships, for unseen opportunities. As long as you are holding on to what was, you block what could be. The energy you spend maintaining outdated situations is energy taken away from your growth. And ironically, running through the park, when you let go with intention and faith, you often realize that what comes next is far better than what you were desperately trying to keep. It's in that release that peace is found, not because the external world becomes perfect, because your inner world is no longer in conflict. Learning to let go is not a one-time event. It is a skill like patience or courage, requires awareness and self-honesty. It asks you to pause and ask, is this still good for me? And to be willing to walk away. If the answer is no, you will not always feel ready. The decision to let go is the beginning of personal liberation. Life becomes simpler, lighter, and clearer. And the beautiful paradox is that the moment you truly let go, life often gives back what you need most. Sometimes in ways you never expected. Running through the park, you just have to trust the process. Let go before life has to teach you the hard way. Because when you do it willingly, it becomes an act of strength, not surrender. When we talk about letting go, it's essential to understand that we are not just referring to external things like jobs, relationships, or possessions. More often than not, the most important things we need to release are internal, our expectations, our emotional attachments, our assumptions, our fears. Running through the park, these inner patterns are often so deeply rooted that we don't even realize we're clinging to them. We might hold on to anger because it gives us a sense of power, or we cling to sadness because it's become part of our identity. We may not realize it, but these attachments shape how we experience the world. And until we let them go, we keep recreating the same patterns over and over again, even when they bring us pain. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting the past or denying what we feel. It means choosing not to be controlled by what happened or what could happen. It means taking back your power from things you cannot change. Often we confuse control with safety. We believe that if we hold on tightly, if we plan every step, if we don't release our grip, we can avoid pain. But life doesn't work that way. Life is dynamic, ever changing, and full of surprises. And sometimes the very control we think protects us is what suffocates our growth. The truth is, we are not meant to control everything. We are meant to respond wisely, and that wisdom begins with knowing when it's time to let go. There are moments in life when we reach a threshold, a point where holding on becomes more painful than letting go. It's in these moments that life gives us a choice: evolve or stay stuck. If we ignore the signs, the universe becomes louder. It shakes our foundation to awaken us. It removes things from our life, not to harm us, to make space for something more aligned with our journey. This is where most people struggle. They view loss as failure rather than as redirection. But if we shift our mindset, we realize that not everything that ends us is a tragedy. Some endings are necessary for our next beginning. Letting go is not easy. It involves grief, discomfort, and often uncertainty. But what's harder is staying in situations that no longer align with who we are becoming. That internal conflict drains our energy and creates a disconnect between our inner truth and our outer life. The more we resist, the more intense that disconnect becomes, until life eventually forces the change we tried so hard to avoid. That's why the wise learn to let go with grace. They understand that clinging is a form of fear, while releasing is an act of trust. Ultimately, letting go is not about losing. It's about choosing peace over chaos, freedom over fear, growth over comfort. It's about deciding that your future matters more than your attachment to the past. Let go. Not because life will force you to, but because you value your evolution enough to make the choice on your own terms. Life constantly presents us with opportunities to grow, transform, and move forward. Yet, many of us struggle to accept these opportunities because we are emotionally tied to things that feel familiar. We hold on to relationships that no longer nurture us, careers that stifle our creativity, habits that limit our potential, and identities built on past experiences. This attachment is natural. After all, human beings are wired to seek comfort and stability. But what feels safe is not always what serves our highest good. When we cling too tightly to what's familiar, we prevent ourselves from stepping into what's possible. Life, however, does not wait. If we do not make the decision to let go running through the park, life has a way of making it for us. There is a saying that life whispers before it shouts. At first, we may feel small nudges, a sense of restlessness, moments of dissatisfaction, or quiet urges to change something. If we ignore these signs, they grow louder, conflicts increase, stress builds, and circumstances begin to fall apart. These are not punishments. They are wake-up calls. Life is urging us to release what no longer aligns with who we are becoming. But if we resist, we are eventually forced to let go in ways that feel abrupt or painful. The job ends, the relationship breaks, the opportunity vanishes. It seems harsh in the moment, but in hindsight, we often see that it was necessary. Letting go requires us to trust the unknown. That's what makes it so difficult. The mind craves certainty, and letting go feels like stepping into a void. But that unknown space is where transformation happens. Only by letting go can we create space for something new. If your hands are full of what no longer serves you, how can you receive what's meant for you? Imagine trying to catch rain with closed fists. You have to open your hands. Let go. To receive. One of the deepest lessons in life is learning that everything and not everyone is meant to stay. Some things come into our lives to teach us, to challenge us, to shape us. When their purpose is complete, we must honor them and release them. Holding on does not preserve the past, only prolongs your pain. Growth begins when we stop resisting what is and start embracing what could be. Letting go also means letting go of our inner resistance, our need to control outcomes, to force timelines, to demand explanations. Sometimes peace comes not from answers, but from acceptance. And once we release the need to control, we gain clarity. We see options we were blind to before. We become lighter, freer, more open to life's natural flow. In the end, letting go is not an end, it's a beginning of a new chapter of self-trust, of alignment. Letting go doesn't mean we forget or that it didn't matter. It means we choose ourselves, our growth, our peace. Because when you let go willingly, you evolve. When you don't, running through the life will make sure you still do. But the path will be far more difficult. Letting go is one of the most profound acts of self-awareness and self-respect. It asks to confront our attachments, our illusions of control, and our fears of the unknown. Many times we remain stuck in situations not because they are good for us, but because they are familiar. Familiarity gives us a false sense of comfort. Even when it's destroying our peace, we cling to what we know. Painful relationships through the puck. Toxic environments, outdated beliefs, because we fear the uncertainty that comes with change. But growth and transformation are only possible when we are willing to release what no longer serves our purpose. If we resist this process, eventually steps in and does it for us, often in ways we cannot ignore. The process of life is not stagnant. It is dynamic, always evolving, and so are we meant to be. But when we fight this natural flow by holding on too tightly, we create internal tension. Tension turns into anxiety, stress, confusion, and often deep unhappiness. We wonder why we feel stuck, why things don't move forward, or why we keep facing the same problems. The answer is simple. We are carrying things we were never meant to carry for so long. Whether it's a painful past, a limiting belief, or an unworthy attachment, it becomes a burden that slows down our progress. Life, however, the park, has a way of speeding up change when we delay it too long. Think of a tree during autumn. It doesn't try to hold on to its leaves. It releases them with trust that spring will bring something new. Nature teaches us this lesson in every season. But humans are driven by ego and fear, resist the natural cycles. We try to make things permanent in an impermanent world. And when those things inevitably shift or fall apart, we suffer, not because of the change itself, but because of our resistance to it. Through the park, letting go is not an event, it's a process. Sometimes we have to let go over and over until we're free. Through the park, it takes strength to release what we once thought we couldn't live without. But that strength is available to each of us if we are willing to be honest with ourselves. Ask yourself, is this helping me grow, or is it holding me back? Am I clinging because of love or because of fear? What am I afraid will happen if I let go? When you begin to let go intentionally, you'll notice something powerful. Space for clarity, for healing, for new energy to flow into your life. You may feel grief, but you will also feel relief. You may feel lost for a while, but you will also feel free. And in that space, you can reconnect with yourself, redefine your values, and realign with your purpose. Letting go is an act of courage. It is how we say yes to the future, even when the future is uncertain. It is how we make room for the life we are truly meant to live. Let go, not when you are forced, but while it's still your choice. Comes a time in everyone's life when the path ahead demands a change, an emotional shift, a mental release, a spiritual evolution. Yet many people hesitate. They look at what needs to be left behind and feel fear, not because the past is better, but because the future is unknown. Letting go challenges our deepest instincts, the desire for control, the need for stability, and the fear of being alone. Clinging to what no longer fits your growth only delays the inevitable. Eventually, life presents the lesson another way, often louder, more disruptive, and impossible to ignore. The truth is, letting go isn't just recommended, it's necessary. If you don't do it willingly, running the life will do it for you. We often assume that holding on shows strength, that perseverance in all things is a virtue. But real strength lies in discernment. knowing when a chapter has ended and having the courage to turn the page. Letting go is not about being careless or cold-hearted. It is about honoring your present self, not just your past attachments. The version of you who made certain choices in the past did so with the awareness and needs of that time. But you are not the same person today. What supported your survival yesterday may be blocking your growth today. People stay in relationships out of loyalty, jobs out of fear, and habits out of routine. But when something becomes a cage instead of a container, you must ask yourself, why am I still here? What am I afraid to face if I walk away? These are hard questions, but they are the beginning of inner freedom. Because the moment you confront your fears honestly, they begin to lose power over you. Letting go may feel like a loss, but it's often a form of gaining clarity, energy, time, and space for what truly matters. Consider the emotional weight we carry from unresolved experiences. Betrayals, disappointments, missed opportunities. We replay them in our minds, hoping to rewrite them somehow. But the past is not meant to be changed. It's meant to be accepted, learned from, and ultimately released. Carrying emotional baggage into each new experience only repeats the cycle of pain. You cannot step into a new life while dragging the debris of the old one behind you. When you let go with intention, you reclaim your power. You no longer live in reaction to your circumstances, but in alignment with your values. Running through the park, you don't wait for life to shake you. You lead yourself into the next stage of growth. It doesn't mean you'll always feel confident running through the park. Sometimes you'll grieve what you've released. But grief is not failure, part of the cleansing process that clears the way for something greater. Letting go is an act of faith, not in some external outcome, but in yourself, in your ability to rebuild, to grow, to create meaning beyond what has ended. Life moves forward with or without your permission. But when you move with it, you grow not by force, but by choice. And that is the true path to freedom. Running the park, letting go is not about weakness, it is about wisdom. It is the conscious decision to stop feeding energy into what no longer supports your well-being, your purpose, or your peace. Often, people believe that holding on makes them strong, that by refusing to quit, they prove their worth or resilience. But the deeper truth is this: knowing when to let go is one of the most powerful forms of inner strength. It requires clarity, humility through the park, and courage to admit that something you once valued deeply is no longer aligned with who you are becoming. The longer you avoid this truth, the more pressure life applies until you are forced to face it. Many people resist letting go because they have attached their identity to a role, a relationship, or an outcome. When these things begin to change or dissolve, it feels like a part of them is dying. And in a way, it is. But this is not a bad thing. Personal evolution requires us to shed old versions of ourselves again and again, much like a snake shedding its skin, not because it wants to, but because it must. The skin that once protected now restricts. Likewise, the habits, beliefs, and people that once served us can become limiting when we outgrow them. If we do not let go of the outdated layers, we suffocate under the weight of what used to be. The fear of letting go is almost rooted in uncertainty. What will come next? Will I find something better? Will I be okay on my own? These are valid concerns, but they must not become chains. Growth requires risk. The park. It means stepping into unfamiliar territory without guarantees, armed only with the belief that you deserve alignment and authenticity. The most transformative moments in life often begin with uncertainty. It is in that space, between what was and what will be, that we discover our strength. There is also a misconception that letting go means the end of care or love. That walking away means you didn't value what you had. But that's not true. Sometimes the greatest act of love for yourself and others is knowing when to release something with grace. Running the park. Not every ending is a failure. Some endings are simply natural conclusions, paving the way for new beginnings. Letting go doesn't erase the past. It simply honors the present and makes room for the future. As long as you cling to the past, whether it's resentment, guilt, or even nostalgia, you remain anchored to a moment that no longer exists. Through the part, life is here and now. It's not found in rewinding the past or fast forwarding to the future. It's in the moment you choose to release what's heavy and step forward, lighter and wiser. Letting go isn't about erasing history. It's about rewriting the story from a new place of awareness. If you refuse to take that step, life will eventually take it for you. It may come as a crisis, a breakdown, or a loss. But either way, the lesson remains: evolve or be pushed to evolve. Let go. Running the park, not because it's easy, but because holding on is holding you back. Letting go is a decision that defines the direction of your life. It is not an act of defeat, but one of transformation. At its core, letting go means you've come to recognize that holding on is doing more harm than good. Whether it's a toxic relationship, an old failure, a deep-seated belief, or a version of yourself that no longer feels true, letting go is the silent but power turning point from surviving to living. Many wait too long, hoping things will change, clinging to familiarity out of fear until life brings them to their knees. Because what you do not release by wisdom, life will take by force. This is not to punish you, it is to awaken you. We live in a world that often glorifies endurance. Keep fighting, don't quit, stay the course. But there's a difference between the resilience and stubbornness. True resilience includes the ability to adapt, to change course when the road is no longer leading you anywhere. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away through the park. Letting go is not giving up, it is giving into the truth. It is the act of aligning your outer life with your inner knowing, even when that choice feels uncomfortable or uncertain. That's why letting go often feels like loss at first. It's a disconnection from something that has become a part of your identity, even if it no longer serves your growth. When you refuse to let go, you begin to suffer in silence. You feel the emotional heaviness, the park, the stagnation, the internal friction. You may stay in environments that drain your energy, hold on to people who no longer respect you, or chase goals that are no longer yours. But life has a rhythm, and when you ignore that rhythm, when you hold on past the natural season, you create resistance. The resistance eventually becomes unbearable. Life responds by shaking your foundation, sudden change, crisis, or breakdowns. These are not coincidences. They are corrections. Life is calling you to move, to release, to evolve. Letting go opens space. Not just in your schedule, but in your heart, your mind, your spirit. When you finally let go, even with trembling hands, you allow new people, experiences, and perspectives to enter. You begin to breathe more freely. Your energy returns. Your focus sharpens. You start recognizing your worth, not as someone defined by the past, as someone worthy of something greater. That is the quiet reward of letting go: clarity and peace. But remember, it's not a one-time action. You may have to remind yourself daily to loosen your grip, to trust the process, to stay open. And over time, the pain fades, the lesson remains, park, and you realize you didn't lose anything. You simply made space for what you truly need. Let go not because it's easy, because staying stuck is no longer an option. Let go before life forces you to. Do it on your terms, with grace, with intention, running through the park, and with the faith that head was not only necessary, but better.